Chapter 28. Do you and Christina message much? I finally asked the question I've been thinking about since 9 o'clock this morning. Not much. Michael shifts away slightly, reaching for his panini. He's avoiding eye contact. I didn't realise you were friends. There's no way of saying this without sounding petty, I know. We grew up in the same village, he says, waving a hand. It bugs me, because to me, growing up in a village means everybody wearing each other's hand-me-downs and having a Christmas party with someone's granddad as Santa in the community centre, whereas to him it means being a chorister and taking your first communion together and Jules wellies with gilets. I think your parents may have signed a contract to betroth you. It's never been like that between us. He shakes his head. Did she ever want to go out with you? No, he scoffs. Did you ever ask her out? No. He looks at me as though I've suggested flying to the moon and back. Then how do you know she never wanted to go out with you? She might have said yes. No one wanted to go out with me. So how come you asked me then? Was it obvious I liked you? He considers, sipping coffee. I think it got to the point where I couldn't not ask you. I was desperate enough that I couldn't go on without asking you. I smile at the memory of that insanely tense and turbulent season. What is this season we're in now? Going steady? Why does my language for relationships come from 1980s movies? You've changed my life, Jen, he says. I'll never be the same again. He kisses me before I can properly process this, and then holds up his phone. Should I book a taxi? It feels like midnight by the time the train pulls into our station, but it's only 8 p.m. Michael gets a pizza from the takeaway by the taxi rank, and amongst people arriving for a night out, decked in heels and thankfully cheap perfume, we finally bundle into a taxi which takes us to his place. At this point, I'm feeling exhausted, intoxicated by the idea of finally being alone and not on the trip to end all trips. I find a bottle of wine and pour 2 generous glasses as we settle on the sofa to eat. It's Friday night again, and now the horrors of the trip are a distant memory. Some rubbishy TV show is on, but I don't want to change anything in this moment. I could be happy with this. I don't want anything else. Except when I kiss Michael, then I do want something else. Very badly. As soon as our lips meet, I feel the desire unfurl and bind us closer and closer like a rope being stretched taut. My hands grip his shoulders tighter and tighter, and there's no time to take breath. It's too vital to drink him in. I might be succeeding in getting him to forget his vow. He's responding, and I know it can't just be me who feels this magnetic force pulling us together. I slide my hand under his shirt to feel his skin, warm and smooth. It's irresistible. But then I remember precautions. Neither of us is prepared for that. What does it matter? Imagine if I got pregnant with Michael's baby. The thought is not the panic-filled warning it always has been before. Maybe this proves that this time is different. Maybe I'm finally ready for a grown-up relationship. Of course, his dad wouldn't like it, but in the end... Just as my hand grasps at a fistful of shirt, preparing to pull it off, Michael's phone rings. He grabs it off the coffee table and I see the caller ID. Christina. Sorry, I've just got to take this, he says, and untangles himself from me, leaving me on the sofa and hurrying away to the kitchen. Disappointment extinguishes my becoming a parent daydream. Worse still, distrust niggles at my certainty that Michael is the one. Has he really been honest about Christina? Why does he need to leave the room to take her call? Why is he even considering answering the phone right now when he could be with me? My head feels giddy with the wine, and I wish I had my phone. I'm so cut off without it, and I just hope my stuff is all okay, that Marge remembered to take everything off the bus for me. I hope she is all right too, and that David isn't going to come down on her like a ton of bricks for what happened with the boys on the tube. Sorry about that. Michael returns, looking sheepish, but offers no further explanation. He just sinks down onto the sofa next to me. Why was she ringing you? Just organising an event at Christmas. Oh, first I've heard of it. Is this to do with the church? Yes. Will I be going too? Yes. Are you hiding something from me? I scan his face. He meets my gaze and takes my hand. "Trust me," he says. It's not a no. I withdraw my hand. "Funny how, before I met your parents, you never mentioned church to me. Once." "It didn't really come up," he replies. "I don't get it." I shake my head. Like, either it's important to you or it isn't. My grandparents lived and breathed their church. They must have been there practically every day of the week. I may not be devout like them, but it doesn't mean it's not important to me. So important that you never talk about it. Why are you angry about this? It doesn't affect you. Your sacred vow affects me. I don't expect you to understand it, but I do ask you to respect it. I would if you were more consistent in practicing your religion. The only thing you seem to follow is your schedule. A minute ago, you were about to rip my shirt to shreds, and now you're just tearing my faith apart instead. What's the matter? Michael snaps. Do you have any idea how hard it is to be with you sometimes? I'm cross, and I don't care what I'm saying, because it's true. You look down on someone like Sean because you think that he's inappropriate and plays fast and loose with the rules, and yet, as soon as that bus pulled away, you were frog-marching me to the tube station, ignoring what everyone said about finding a way to get picked up. Well, I'm sorry for trying to take care that you weren't shivering on the pavement all night. Michael raises his voice to match mine. It was more that you didn't want to hang around waiting for someone else to make a decision, I point out. Just like on the train, you preferred choking to pulling the emergency cord and getting an ambulance. You're so stubborn sometimes, it's ridiculous. Anything else you want to say? He gestures to the air. Any other glaring faults that you need to make me aware of because I'm such a terrible specimen of human being? Because that's what I am. Human. Then stop acting like a robot. My voice drops to its normal level. Can I stay tonight? He looks at me and he knows what I'm asking. Jen, he says, I love you and that's why I want us to wait. Please, don't make it harder than it already is. You're the one making this difficult. I raise my voice. I'm sorry, but no one makes a vow as a teenager and feels they have to keep it as an adult. I do. The irony of his response isn't lost on him either. Jen, one of the most important lessons my parents taught me was to always keep my word. They never lied to me, and if they said they were going to do something, they did it. I have massive respect for that. That's the kind of person I want to be. You may not care about chastity vows or keeping a dinner appointment, but I'm sure that you'd want me to keep my wedding vows, if we got married. He adds the last phrase hastily, then clears his throat. This situation is so odd, I feel completely disorientated. Michael keeps mentioning marriage, fairly casually, when most guys seem to run a mile from it. Surely this is a good thing. But the stupid vow and the way he always has to keep his word threaten to tie us up for the rest of our lives. Honesty is good, right? But then it makes every time he kisses me feel dishonest, like he's making a promise he can't keep. I don't think Michael understands that in his black and white world. Sometimes we make a promise with the best of intentions, but we can't follow through, I point out. We can't punish ourselves forever. Sometimes you have to let things go. Circumstances change. He looks at me for a moment, then takes a deep breath. I know you don't like talking about it. My heart skips a beat. He's going to talk about Mum. But when your mum left, your dad could have... That's irrelevant to this discussion, I snap. I don't think it is, he says gently. Your dad could have said, she's broken her vows to me and moved on. But he was faithful and looked after her when she came back. What good did that do? I feel the emotion bubbling in my throat. She never realised what she'd done. Dad just overlooked it because he didn't know how else to deal with it. Do you know the damage that caused? How hard it was? He wraps his arms around me and I sob. I still feel so angry, but I need him right now. Look, I'm not saying she was right, and I don't want to sound glib because I wasn't there, he says. I just want you to know that I want to be faithful. I want to keep my promises. And I hope you can see that as a good thing. I don't understand, I whisper, shaking my head, tears still streaming down my cheeks. Trust me, Michael repeats. I don't really have much choice.